this is how you are going to sew a convex curve using a flat fell seam. This has no raw edges on either the outside or the inside. You may need to increase your seam allowance to around 15 millimeters, and stay tuned for the tutorial. To do a convex curve with a flat fell seam, you'll want your two pieces following your pattern, and then you want to place them wrong sides together. And at this stage you can use some pins if you'd like, just to hold everything in place and to prevent your seam from stretching out. And then we're going to sew along this line with a 15 millimeter seam allowance. We're lining up with our 15 millimeter seam allowance there, and then we'll just drop the needle in, and then we'll do a couple of stitches. And then we're using that guide to go all the way around at this seam. So we've sewn our seam, we're just gonna give it a little iron. You can see this is our top colour thread, so this is going to be the thread that we're going to want visible. So I'm going to trim on the side of the bobbin thread, and so we're just going to take our scissors and we're just going to cut down to about 5 millimeters. And then we're going to press this side over by about 5 millimeters. Then in theory, we would just be folding this over and stitching down. But just to make our lives a little bit easier, we're going to trim into this curve slightly. So I'm just going to make a couple of small clips into the seam, and I'm going to do the same thing on the seam allowance side. But again, not going near that crease where we've pressed. And this will allow a slightly easier curve to sew. So you kind of have to use your hands to sort of manipulate the fabric to get it to sit flat. But once you do, and once it's sewn down, it will look perfect. Now we're going to come up to our machine, and first of all, I'm just going to put the presser foot down just to hold this in place. Now we want to be putting the needle in about 2 millimeters away from the edge of this seam. It's getting a little bit curved, the fabric will move around, so you do need to take this nice and slowly. I'm going to take that pin out so I can just manipulate the fabric as I go. And so take this like a couple of inches at a time. And move as you go. And then we'll take that over to our iron and have a look. This is what the final seam looks like. So we've nicely gone along the curve, and you can see how if you move the fabric, depending on the pattern piece, this will all look just like a regular seam. And it will be nice and flat with no raw edges on the inside or the outside. So we're going to give it one final press just to set the seam there. And the thing with curves is you will have to move around slightly, or you can use a tailor's ham just to get a really nice clean line. And there you go.